Hi everybody, Robin here. I'm doing a last minute live. It's kind of a VR, except I'm not sure which is a VR too. I was inspired a little bit by one that Masha did, and I think it's something like top 10 favorite pip decks or modern pip decks or something like that. And then I also remember years ago, I think there was something called March of the Pips. Anyway, I'm going to call this one Pips That Have Pushed Me. And that's because I'm not a big pip deck fan. And generally speaking, when it comes to choosing a deck, as much as I love majors only decks, the minors I can do the majors without the minors. That's in a regular deck or a pip deck. But when it comes to those extra cards, that minor arcana, they just don't feel to me like they originally belonged in the tarot. And they feel like an extra add-on. And then because people wanted more cards to read with than 22. And then at some point they wanted even more than 78. So they added in reversals and doubled that. But anyway, I'm going to say that I have learned how to read with pips. And generally speaking, pips kind of push me away rather than draw me in. They're pretty to look at, but I'm not drawn to pip cards. However, there are some artistic designs that are fun and fashionable, and I enjoyed those. So I gathered together all my Marseille and pip decks, which is not a great amount. Maybe there's 20, 25 here. And I'm going to show you every single one. So you get a sense of the range of what I do in my decks. So the first one I'm going to show this is a Marseille deck that I found, I think, at maybe Game Crafters or Printers Studio. It was called the Lino Cut Marseille or something like that, because it's a Marseille deck that was done from linoleum cut prints, which is very similar in a way to how wood blocks were originally used in the printing process of Marseille decks. And I sort of like the real rough and raw kind of crude quality of this deck. So there's that. I just want to check. I just need to double check that I'm live because I don't see anybody in chat. Of course, I just popped on there and didn't let anybody know that I was going to do this. So we shall see. Yep, it looks like I'm there. Okay, so did I turn I muted that. Okay. Sorry, thanks for bearing with me. Hello, Eric Dodds, welcome. So that's the first one. These are not in any order, but according to Masha's taping, she chose a top 10 favorites. I don't know if I can pick 10 favorites, but I think I can pick my top 5. The next one is, you all know this one from the James Bond movie, Tarot of the Witches. And this is a pip deck that, those are the backs. And the pips are not as much fun as the other cards, but as the majors. But it's colorful, it's pop. I think it was from, what, 1972 or something like that. Ooh, glossy. Okay. I'm not going to spend too long on each of these because there are so many, as I struggle to get them in and out of tuck boxes. By the way, tomorrow is my birthday, and I am having a live birthday celebration at noon Eastern time. So if you want to come back and join me then, I'm going to share an intriguing sort of Halloween-y or pre-Halloween deck. Next deck I'm going to show, this is the, I think it's called the John D. Tarot. And this was gifted to me by Chris at Elemental Cartomancy. It's sort of I can't tell if this is also a linoleum cut or it's maybe just scratchy pen and ink. It's a little on the crude side, but I kind of like that. I haven't used it much. Thank you, Eric. Next, let's see. Next, I have the Angel Tarot. I bought this from Sarah Waters of, what is her channel's name? I want to say Waterchild Tarot, maybe. I haven't seen a video from her in a while. And I think this came with two different backs. This is the back that I have. Kind of interesting there. And it's a take on a Marseille, but the pips are arranged differently, and it includes references to playing cards. See the club there in the middle of those wands. I think this was, it came out in Japan in the 70s. Oh my goodness, everybody jumped in the room. Abundant Life Tarot, hi Kim. Popping in to say hi. I will be stopping by for your birthday celebration tomorrow. Yay! I'll be watching this replay as I need a pip deck inspiration. I hope not too many of these are out of print. And welcome, Ange, Roots and Waves. Happy early birthday. I hope I can make your live tomorrow. And that's it so far. So that's the Angel Tarot. I think there's more than one tarot called the Angel Tarot, but like I said, I think this one was published in Japan in like the 70s or very early 80s. This is so snug, I can't get the tuck in the tuck box back in, but I'll deal with that on my own time. Next one is, this is my own. down on my list. The Eyes Wide Tarot. You know, I've done 4 or 5 decks, and this one was done more as a challenge than anything. And I did it kind of, it's colorful, there's pretty colors, but I did it kind of as an exercise to show people that regardless of your artistic talent, if you have a little bit of organizational skills, that you can make your own tarot deck. Because I just sort of like collage this together digitally using the Pages program that comes with any Mac laptop. And you can get, you know, geometric shapes and you know, stretch them and apply color and overlay them. So these are basically just stick figures created by the Pages program. And it's not, you know, like I said, I'm not really a big Pip deck fan. I tried to sort of arrange these in a way that sort of mimicked the movement in the RWS decks. Like here we have the 7 of Swords, and in that one you usually have somebody sneaking away with 5 swords and leaving 2 behind. So, you know, there's that. And some of these are sort of familiar kind of Marseille layouts. There's your 3 of Swords, just, you know, the way it's usually set up. There's the 4 of Swords, you know, with 1 at rest. So anyway, that gives you a little bit of an idea of what I did with those. I probably need to pick up the pace or I'll be here all night. Next one, I have the Old English Tarot. And I like this one. Oh, I just thought of one I didn't pull out, but I don't know if I want to dig for it. The Golden Klimt Tarot is a Pip deck, and it's really pretty, and it's kind of like otherworldly. If you remind me later, maybe I'll go digging for it. But this one too the Old English is a Pip deck, but it's also kind of like a Pip deck with little vignettes or scenes on the cards. The backs are pretty. There's little gold in there, kind of glossy. And we have the majors, but let's see, let me get to where are some of the pips? Okay, so see, you've got the Pip arrangement, and then there's a little bit of a scene at the bottom. And sort of Old English countryside kind of vignettes, little scenes, little things happening. And it's charming. I'm pretty sure this is still available, and it's a mass market deck, and I think it's a nice one. It's not Marseille per se, but if you want to play with pips, I'm not pulling any pips. There we go. There's one. All right, that gives you a little bit of an idea about the Old English Tarot. U.S. Games. Next one I have, this is from Marseille, from Vincent Petici, the late Vincent Petici, the Tarot of Marseille. And for anybody other than a Marseille aficionado, a lot of these Marseille ones are going to look like the same old thing. But, you know, they're slightly different color ways. These are the backs. Actually, since he's passed, I don't know whether any of his decks are still available, whether his wife is carrying that on or if he has an estate to handle his affairs. But these have really interesting kind of earth tone shades. Like I never thought of it actually, but this is a very autumn deck because it's like, you know, dark greens and sort of wheaten yellows and, you know, red dying leaves and golds. You know, it's pretty as far as sort of a different color scheme for a tarot deck. Oh, nice wand. Of course, you know, I didn't set up any of these ahead of time. This was a very last minute live sort of idea. So a lot of them I haven't used in a while, and they're kind of still in order in the box somewhat. And then others aren't. So that's Vincent Petici, rest his soul. Next, I have two kind of vintagey ones from Conrad Stain. This one I like. These came shrink wrapped from MPC. Delightfully autumn hued. You can purchase Vincent's decks on Make Playing Cards. Okay. I miss Vincent. Okay. Oh, I'm sniffling like crazy. I hope I don't have a cold. This one by Conrad Stain is the Burnt Camois. See, I threw it in a tin and put a label on it so I'd remember the name of it. But the backs, it's pretty color back. This particular one, I like it, but it's a little on the citrusy side. You know, it's kind of like a cup of summer lemonade. It just has that, it's got that tang to it, but sometimes it's a little, the colors are just a little bit too sour for me. It's pretty though, and it's a little different. It's kind of nice to have a variety if you're into Marseille, to have a handful of different decks that have different colors, because a lot of people can tell the difference in the detailing. But to me, a Marseille is a Marseille is a Marseille, and they all look the same to me, mostly. Well, especially if they use the same source material. I don't know my history, but there are maybe 3 or 4 variations of the actual artwork. And a lot of people just use the same ones over and over, and just better woodblock stenciling and better colors. So anyway, Conrad also did this other one called the Arnaud. And I like this one better. Well, it's got the crackle backs that look like a cracked eggshell that he used in various colorways on his what's his big famous deck called? The CS Tarot. But I like the kind of odd muted colors in this. This one has the Juno and Jupiter cards after the Swiss Besançon. But I kind of like these odd pastel-y blues and I don't know. I'm really not that big generally on the harsh primary color kind of Marseille decks. Next we have, all right, let's go to this one. This is the Tarot de Jacques Vivelle, and I don't know if this is still available or not. It's a little bit large. I don't know if it's bigger than a regular tarot or not, but this one is sort of a majors only twice over, because they did these and then they, oh, here's the backs. They did these and then they, there was something in the printing process that they printed one direction, but I think they printed them on metal plates or something. And they did them also, they flipped them to the opposite orientation. And then they packaged both directions in the same box. So you could sort of, they'd leave it to you if you had a preference of your, you know, of your strength looking one direction or the other. And then there were a couple of cards that are odd, like they put the hangman standing instead of upside down. Yeah. I was going to say, I think, do I have the card upside down? No, but they put the number at the top. So that's kind of weird. There's one in here. Oh, great devil. I like this one too. Instead of the tower, we have the tree or the lightning or whatever it's called. And then this is the star, I believe, which is sort of astronomer. Oh, there we got another. No, that must be the sun. Let's see, 18. Yep. No, wait, is 18 the sun or the moon? 17's the star, 18's the moon, 19's the sun, right? So this is, that's the moon. Pretty bright for the moon. Oh, there's the sun. Okay. Anyway, that gives you a little peek at the Tarot Jacques Vivelle. Kim likes this one. Oops. Kim, I don't know your decks. Do you have a lot of Pip decks? I need to go digging back through your videos. Let's see. Next we'll have... all right, let's do this. This is a mass market tarot universal tarot of Marseille. And I got this. It's I think it's Lo Scarabeo. And I sort of like the coloring on this one, but it's those Lo Scarabeo cards that had the 6 languages on it, and I don't like that. Excuse me. So actually it came out in the Golden Tarot of Marseille, which I got too, and I'll show you that in a second. But the problem with the Golden one, oh, these are the backs, pretty backs. The problem with the Golden one is, see how there's like 3-dimensional shadowing or shading on this one? I really like that. And they don't have it on the Golden one. They kind of flattened it out, but it does have the gold foiling. So I kind of want, I want it all. I want the best of both worlds. So, I mean, this is a pretty coloring, but if I could do away with the multiple languages, I think I'd be happier with it. And maybe I should keep one out to show you compared to the Golden. So the Golden has different back. But look at the gilding on it. I'm not generally a big fan of gold stuff, but and it's weird. This is Lo Scarabeo too, but they didn't put the multiple languages on this one. This one's a really nice one to use sort of like in low lighting or by candlelight, because the gold, really catches the light and shimmers. In fact, in harsh, bright light, this is a little bit too much of a distraction with the way the gold reflects. Look, even the cups on the table are reflecting like mirrors. So I like this, but can I find a card? Well, I was trying to show you. It'll take me too long to dig it up, but there's the difference between, you can see the shading on this one versus no shading really on this one. Or there is, but it's not quite the same. It's got the same lines indicating shading, but there's no kind of black or gray behind it to give it that extra sort of 3D look. You know what I mean? Not many pip decks, and I'm feeling called to work with them. I'm looking for a traditional one. I have the Marseille Prandra B by Antique K and the Antique Anatomy, maybe a couple of others. And I can read with them, but I don't read, I guess, the way you're supposed to read with them. I am familiar enough with the RWS now that I instantly see a pip card and translate it in my head to the RWS imagery so I can read it. And then once I've got that in there, then I go into layers of numerology and what I visually see in the arrangement of the pips. So I kind of read it in layers, but I generally get the crux of it from my own inner vision visual translation of the RWS. Okay, let's go to this one next. This is the Tarot de Marseille from Fournier. And I like the color scheme on this. It's very soft and also kind of shaded. Oh, also, I love Fournier size cards. They're a little bit smaller and a little narrower, but they're really comfortable to handle. It's kind of like, I think there's some of my favorites in terms of handling them. Not, I overhand. I don't riffle shuffle, but I like the colors in these. And I'm sorry about all this glare. I'm getting a lot of glare here. But you can see this kind of shading or shadowing, a little kind of three-dimensional quality to them. But they're soft. The texture is kind of soft in terms of the, it's not hard edge. The colors are a little muted, and the shading kind of feels less harsh than that hard edge wood block feel that a lot of Marseille decks have. And I kind of like that warm quality to it. Love that dark teal back. Not many pip decks, and I'm feeling called to work with them. I'm looking for a traditional one. I have the Marseille. Oh, I read that already. I'm the same about RWS and my treatment of the pips. That's a great handy size deck. Yeah. All right. Next, we're getting down. I have about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 left. Oh, I guess these would be the top 10, but not specifically in this order, I guess. So we have the W, or was it the 1JJ Swiss, which a lot of you will be familiar with. When I first started collecting or looking at tarot back in the 1970s, there were only about 3 decks on the shelves, and the JJ Swiss was one of them. And a lot of people, this was sort of their first introduction into tarot, and was problematic for some people because they couldn't read the pips. This is another Juno and Jupiter deck, and these are I'm not sure if this is, oh yeah, Swiss, JJ Swiss. So it's a Swiss deck, because it's funny, it has that kind of like fine detail of an Italian deck with sort of more primary colors. And it's very pretty. I think this is fairly available. I don't know actually if you can get this in stores in the US. I ordered it, I think, on Amazon UK, and it was really cheap. It's put out by AGM Urania, and they don't have an outlet in the US, I don't think. And I'm not sure if they were the ones that originally put it out here either, but don't know if you can find this in shops in the US anymore. Next, this came out a couple of years ago. I had the gorgeous, let me reach for it. I absolutely love this. You know how I love my majors only decks, the Golden Worth deck. This one has the major arcana in oversized cards, but I mean, originally it was only a major arcana deck, and then later on they supplemented it with minors. But and there are 2 different versions of this. The original one came out in the late 1800s, and this came out in like the 1920s or something. And the designs were much more refined, and but this is almost like holographic, this sort of sparkle gilding, gold foil, and I love this. This is a treasure. But a couple years after this came out, they went and they did this one. I'm not really sure who was responsible for supplementing. It's the symbolic tarot of Worth. It's the same imagery, no gilding. I mean, there's gold on it, but it's that like flat gold ink. It's too bad they couldn't have, applied the gilding to this deck, but just a second. Half of my deck, I have the majors one direction and the minors in another. So it's beautiful, beautiful illustrations. Really pretty. I didn't like the Fool in this deck, but some of the other cards are just gorgeous. The Fool kind of looks sort of idiotic, but the others look sort of glamorous there. There's the Fool. I don't know. There's something about, it's not too bad. And then the minors are more, they have the symbol corresponding numerically to the major card on the minors. So it's symbolically related. If you add your numbers up or reduce them down, you get a little bit of a reminder of the parallel meaning from the majors that you can add into or behind each of the minor cards. Not sure if I explained that properly, but like this one, see, that's like the hermit's lantern. Next, I have one. If any of you remember Mendy from our community, who's doesn't seem to be in the community anymore. She withdrew, but she was selling some of her decks, and she sold me this one, the Il Tarocco Bizarro. And this one, this is fun. These are the backs, a little bright. I don't know where this one was published. I'm not thinking, oh, Italy, well, of course. So really interesting looking, and it's comical, kind of, very comical illustrations. Come on. Come on, we need some variety here. Can I find a cup? Here's a devil. Fun devil. And then I love this hermit with a hermit crab shell on his back. I mean, these almost remind me of illustrations like the old Mad magazine or something. It's entertaining. Hi, Karen. Oh, here's a cup. Pretty cups. The sun and the moon reclining for a little bath. It's like a Saturday Night Live character does the tarot or something. Oh, look at this Ace of Cups. Now, see, that's just glorious. The color in that and the design of the flowers. Now we're getting down near the end of it. I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These last 7 are ones that I think are in my top favorites. They probably are my top 7. This is a pip deck that came out last year, and I was initially taken by it. I love sort of like medieval or mysterious looking decks. And this one's called the Age of Witchery Tarot Deck. And these are the backs. I love that they're on sort of like brown paper. And they have a very different, they're kind of like, you know, they remind me a lot of the Oracle of Black Enchantment by Patrick Valenza, who sort of lifted that idea of woodblock printing from some of the old medieval cards. But there's something really kind of antique or ancient or crude and kind of scary dark magic about the wood block, and these, witches and devils flying in the sky. And this one, oh, I love this one because instead of wands, they have roots. And I love the way the roots sort of look like mandrake roots or people or something. Oh, no, it's not wands. That's the earth sign. Pentacles. Pentacles are roots. Wands are, well, they call them rods. And I like the way that they look kind of like forks or crutches or canes, walking sticks. So this is kind of fun. And there we've got vessels, I think, for the cups. And they do have a variety of the images in each pip. The thing, they kind of look like they were copied, cut, and pasted, though, which is a little boring, if you work with it a lot, because you're seeing the same cutout image, even though it's, in a different arrangement. But I do like the sort of feel of them, the sort of hint that they were like some creepy old antique deck in Granny's attic. We found out things we didn't know about Granny when we found this in a drawer. That she was secretly a witch. Similarly in tone or attitude is the Trionfi della Luna, which I'm sure you all know. My favorite one is this first one. And then there were versions and God knows how many, 5 or 6 different. Karen says one looks like a wishbone. Yeah, I like that. That puts a little more superstition and magic into it. This came with extra cards, which were like horizontal oracles. I think I invented a new term. If you want to make a horizontal deck that's an oracle deck, we can call it the horizontal. So those are the backs. But I like the way that these almost remind me a little of his original, Mildred's Pocket Oracle, in that they feel like they were done on like brown butcher paper or something. So I like that. Now he did years later come out with an illustrated or scenic version of this deck rather than the pips. And I have both. And I tend to lean towards using the scenic one, the illustrated Trionfi della Luna. I have it in the same kind of color scheme as this. But I get a lot more out of that than I do. Again, this is a situation where the pips push me away. They're pretty to look at, but there's a distancing thing between me and pips when I come to reading them in decks. So, that's my own problem or issue. They're pretty to look at design-wise, but hey, I'm here for more than that. I'm here for reading cards, and if I can't read the cards, that's kind of a problem. I'm going to jump to this one now. This is very unusual. Not strictly speaking, Marseille, but it's close. It follows it pretty closely. This is, if you don't know these, this is the Tarot des Ozarks, which they were created in the Ozarks, but it's a play on that with the French Tarot des Ozarks or Tarot des Ozarks. And this one is refreshing because even though it's got the Marseille designs and layouts, they're in changing colors and different brush strokes, and and it's just kind of refreshing to see, instead of seeing each suit with all the same background color and all those elements in the same colors, we get different ones on every card. So each card is kind of like a unique work of art. I love that tower. It's kind of like one of my favorite tower cards. So this is my 5th favorite, number 5. We'll do a countdown from 5. That's the Tarot des Ozarks. Have it in a Peggy bag, if you guys know Peggy Papez. Love the colors on that bag. The next one is Italian. This is the Tarocco Soprafino from, what is it called? I don't know. It was like, I think it's Lo Scarabeo, and they did this sort of like historic series of decks with the lift-off top. Very, very beautiful and very well done. And I love the size of these. These are like the Fournier, but even smaller. Look at the backs. And they're just, oh my God, they're just so beautiful to handle. And the detail is just, the classic Italian ones are so refined. They're not wood block. They're like engravings. So you get a much finer detail in the work of the cards. And a lot of these images were used in the, what's the name of the deck? I do have that one, but I didn't drag it out because it's the same, more or less. Is it the classic Italian deck, or the Royal Italian? I don't know. It's in a green box, and I think it might be US Games. I'm not sure. Italian Renaissance? I don't know. But this is really, really nice to hold and handle. Karen prefers pictures too. Patrick Silva, inventive. It's funny, I have a lot of his decks. I don't have the original Deviant Moon. At the time, I wasn't sure how I felt about it, and I thought, I'd rather wait. I thought I saw somewhere that it had come in a tin, and ever since then, I've been looking for it, but I must have dreamed that. And now it's finally being mass marketed and reissued in a mini size, but I don't think they put it in a tin. It should be out sometime around this month, I think. But I'm pretty sure the graphic I saw was just a small box like yay. And it wasn't in a tin. Okay, this is one that I love too. This is my number 3. It's just called the Tarot of Marseille. I do like the colors on this, and this is really handy. And this is mass marketed, and I recommend this if you want a generic kind of classic looking Marseille deck. The box has a really pretty kind of, or nice linen feel to it. And these are the backs. Could do without the white border, but hey. But it does have this sort of typical, it's typically Marseille. Now, somebody asked me about this, and I hadn't noticed, but they said, oh, it's been squashed to refit the scheme of the card. And if you look, you notice that these are not perfect circles. They're a little bit flattened or a little stretched wide. But I hadn't even noticed until somebody asked me to look for that, for distortion. Didn't bother me. It's subtle enough to, it doesn't really, skew me away from using it. Like, the figures don't look distorted. So that's the Tarot de Marseille. Now we're down to my final two. And I'm having trouble deciding which one is my favorite. And so what I'm going to say, one of them is closer. I thought it was a traditional, an old world Marseille. I think according to Masha, she said it's not. It's more, a modern rendering or redoing of it. But it looks to me like the best sort of reproduction or best inspiration of a classic Marseille deck. This is the Tarot de Marcella Robledo, and this was published in Argentina in a limited edition. Oh my God. These, of all my Marseille decks, well, like I said, this is either number one or number two. Again, the card size is very much like the Fournier. It's a little more manageable. The backs are really pretty and classic. And the colors, I love the way they're set on this kind of antique-y, parchment color or beige or bone white, and they have this shaded quality to the cards. The expressions on the faces are very good. It's very similar to the one I just showed you, that little Tarot de Marseille mini, but this one is just a little more refined in terms of the shadows, the shading, and it's just beautiful. I don't know if this can still be gotten. I had to email him and arrange payment. It wasn't like, go to a website and click a button. It was a little more involved than that. And I was told that he had done a few years later. This actually won awards, I think, in 1910 or 11 for like best deck or something like that. A few years later, he had done another edition, and I think Justin Michael from Philly got both versions, and he said the second edition, the paper, the cardstock was not good. So I don't know. I'm glad I got this one, but this is a little treasure in my collection. But most accessible, and I think number one, I don't know if this will be a surprise to people, it's the Tarot de Maria Celia in a tin from Leonard Jim Narciso. Now, when I first got this, I wasn't sure about it. I absolutely do love the colors, but somehow I didn't like the borders. And I went ahead and I trimmed the borders off and totally ruined it for me. And then some years passed and I got to missing it, and I went and rebought the deck, and now I love it, borders and all. Wouldn't change a thing. I don't know not sure if the original borders were this yellowy or off-white, or if they were more of a stark white, but there was something about them that really bothered me. But now I just really love it. And I love kind of mini or tin size decks. This one has a kind of a soft sense of humor to some of the figures. I love the palette, the color with the turquoises and the salmons and the lime greens. Just gorgeous. and easy to carry, protected in a tin. Very affordable, mass market US games. It still has the copyright down there, but it's so tiny. That was my biggest beef with the US games decks, those copyrights. But I think they're doing away with them. They started hiding them on the backs, and lately I've seen a few decks that didn't have copyrights on them. So I'm not sure what's going on with them, but I wasn't buying their decks for a while, and now I'm open to buying again. But I love this. Look at the colors in that. Just gorgeous. So that's my number one, the Tarot de Maria Celia, or the Tarot de Marcella Robledo, one or the other. I'm not sure. It's a tie for 2 at the top spot. Anyway, thanks for coming to see me in this last minute live on a Saturday night. And I'm going to sign off, and maybe I'll see you tomorrow at my birthday party. I don't have cake or anything, but I do have a really fun deck to share. So see you at noon on Sunday, Eastern time, back here, same place. So long. Have a great Saturday night. Bye.